Hello, welcome to today's astrology study group. And we'll go into a little bit more about eclipses today and look at a bit of astronomy about eclipses. I know sometimes I get, I don't know what you call it, like brain dead or can't quite process spatial relationships of things. Sometimes, you get so overwhelmed with so much in your head, sometimes you just go, bleh. So, um, I thought I was trying to find some different videos on showing the eclipse, and I really didn't want to be too technical, nor did I want to bore you with listening to people. You can look on YouTube, there's a lot of good videos, a lot of good people putting out some good stuff that you can watch. But I thought I would just go over the process because I want to dive into where it's at and get into the astrology side. But I want you to see this. Oh, oh, oh gosh. Well, maybe I can't mute it. Well, yeah, I can mute it. Hold on. There we go. Okay. I'll read this a little bit and then stop it because this is pretty cool. An eclipse takes place when a celestial body is temporarily obscured by another celestial body or by its shadow, or in other words, it's eclipsed, right? And this is just some kind of cool animations, I thought. We can take a look at this. Two main types of eclipses can be observed from Earth: solar or lunar and solar eclipses. A lunar eclipse happens when Earth passes between the sun and the moon. And they've given you, well, people have come up with these different, memnotic relationships. So a lunar eclipse would be, you have sun and then Earth and then moon. So SEM, SEM. See? Okay. Earth's shadow engulfs the moon. Partial lunar eclipse happens when a part of the moon enters the Earth's shadow. A total eclipse engulfs the moon entirely. Sometimes refracted light passes through Earth's atmosphere, giving the moon a reddish color. Okay. A total eclipse engulfs, okay, we already said that. I'm just going to play that again here. I don't know why I did that. Lunar eclipses occur up to 5 times a year, and totality can last 100 minutes. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Maybe I'll just let it play. I just want you to see it. Come on. A solar eclipse occurs when the moon moves between the sun and the earth. It's the other way around. It's sun, moon, earth, or SME. SME. It's only SME. The moon blocks sunlight, casting a shadow on earth. A total solar eclipse happens when the sun, moon, and earth are perfectly aligned. Total solar eclipses happen about every 16 months. The phenomena is visible only on a narrow strip of the earth. During a partial solar eclipse, the sun has a dark silhouette on a part of its surface. An annular eclipse occurs when the moon is farthest from Earth. Farthest from Earth. This creates a ring of fire around the moon. Totality lasts from seconds up to 7.5 minutes, depending on where it's observed. Never look directly at the sun during a solar eclipse. You need those special little glasses. All right. Just wanted to share that one. It gives you a little bit, and I had to look at that a couple times just to see it. And I always do. I just have to kind of get that spatial relationship with something. So some days it's better than others. I must have my Mercury being eclipsed somehow today. But anyway, I put this together here for you too. So the solar eclipse is where it's SME, sun, moon, earth, and that's like a new moon. Okay, it's like a new moon. And then the lunar eclipse we have here on the right side is SEM, and that's like a full moon. Another perspective here. Solar eclipse on the left. And just some more notes. So, it says solar eclipse. That means, the sun gets eclipsed. The sun gets darkened by the moon. So, we're standing on Earth. Look at this, the bottom one. And you're standing there on Earth, and, the moon is moving between. So, it's going to block out that part of the sun, and you'll need your little funny glasses to see that. And, what else am I going to tell you? The shadow, falls on the small part of the Earth, which you can see. It's like on a small part. Um, the total solar eclipse is like once every 16 months to 2 years, and it lasts only a few minutes, but it's powerful. The lunar eclipses get more often, and the moon gets darker. And we see that one on the right. You can see how that, this, because the Earth is larger, it would cast that shadow a little bit smaller on the Earth over there on the right. What else am I going to tell you about? The total lunar eclipse occurs in clusters every 3 to 4 years. The total lunar eclipse, and they can last. They can last for seconds or over an hour, and then they can. Yeah, I think that's my other notes here. Yep, yep, and I just kind of reiterated those things for you that we just watched. So there we go. Now um, we're coming into a full moon, but then our first eclipse of the season will be a solar eclipse. And I'll show you another something here. Give you your little, there we go. I put together just some little something to look at, and we've already talked a little bit about some of these, but we want to note, is the eclipse solar versus lunar? Is it a solar one? And this year we have solar, lunar, let me look at lunar, solar, I believe. Wait. Solar, lunar. We got solar, lunar, and then it goes north node, south node, north node. Let me find my, all right. So we've got, it goes solar, lunar. Okay, that makes sense. But then we go, this one, the solar one is north node, and then the next one is south node, and then the next one after that is south node, and then back to north node, which I'll remind you when we get there. But we're just going to really look at, kind of focus on mainly one, but I want you to see the other one because it'll be 2 weeks away. All right, but we'll get there to the bottom of the page. So we want to know solar versus lunar. We're going to have a solar one first, and we want to know what element it is, and we're going to just look to the bottom here. I have this one here, the April 19th. And that one you can see it's at a north node, and you just have to look this up. You have to just find these. We've already looked at one good book that we like, and I'll mention it again, by Judith Hill, Eclipses in You, How to Align with Life's Hidden Tides. And she's got the eclipses through the end of this year. What did she start with? Let me see. Started with July, wait, maybe it's on the page. Oh, wait. She started with 2013. Okay, so it goes 10 years, 2013 to 2023 in the back of this book, but you can find them online. There's in lots of different places. Astro Dinst, Astro Seek. Last week's video, we went through some of those websites. Anywho, April 19th, it's going to be a north node eclipse. It's going to be a solar eclipse. And this one is just very, very interesting because, we have two kind of new moons this month. Remember the first one we had at 0 degrees Aries. That's why we can have another one at 29 Aries. And look at that, 50 minutes. And we know that Aries is a fire sign, it's element. So we'll go back up to our little list on top. What element? Aries, fire. What quality? Cardinal. All right, so that's kind of what it is. And then for you, for us all, we want to know what house that's going to be in. And I'll read through some, we'll go through all that in a minute, where that is, and in the houses, and just do a little checking in on that. We'll go through what it is in each, for each sign. Okay, anyway, what house will it be in? And then you have to look at see, is it making any aspects to my natal planets? Or if you know your progressed planets, or for this year, you would look to see that, or solar arc. But definitely look to see if it's making anything to any of your natal planets, especially, important ones like your sun or your moon, or, your Venus or Mars. I mean, anything. It's going to give you something that you've got to contend with. Something in is going to be what's the word I want? Um, it's like a power surge or a power drain. And let me just explain something. Well, let me. You can. Well, I'm gonna. I'm gonna share that screen we saw just a minute ago, just so you got that. Okay. When you're looking at an eclipse, when either one of it is, we're just going to get more esoteric now, not so technical, but um, that energy is being, let's look at the solar eclipse. Okay. So, we got the sun beaming down on the earth. Now, all of a sudden, the moon just cuts it out. It's like, boop, and it's eclipsed there. So that solar energy stops for a little while and then it comes back online. So that's like something when your power goes out and then all of a sudden it comes back on. If left your water running or, uh, sometimes power, it doesn't come on evenly and it could fry some of your equipment. I've had that happen. I've had lots of people with those things happen. It comes on and, different heating elements or different things, uh, don't work right after that. So that is an actual effect. And then the other way, a lunar eclipse, when the Earth is there. Well, let me go back to the other one. We the moon is reflecting light of the sun for one thing, and it also is emitting infrared. So when it's blocked, then that infrared is blocked, and then we get the effects of that lack of that far infrared. We get more of those other rays, and we have those effects on our physiology. So we know that full moons, um, that 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 moon's coolness, that infrared, that energy is being blocked there, and it makes lunacy on Earth. We get these goofy things that happen when those electromagnetic frequencies are temporarily changed and disturbed. So that's what creates the phenomenon, and but where people have been leery of eclipses. I mean, during the time, like during this, the solar eclipse, for sure, when it was definitely auspicious, and the sun was, got eclipsed out. That was just really crazy to like the ancients, right? You can imagine, all of a sudden, it's the light of day, and all of a sudden it's darkened. Whoa. So it also has repercussions, weeks or months after, and that's kind of beyond this. But I think we mentioned a little bit last time. It's sort of based on the length of the eclipse itself. So um, we can add or factor that in. So it may not just be just the eclipse. We have the duration, which could make those effects. If if you had something specific, like say the eclipse was exactly on your sun, or your moon. So those areas could be, affected for however many months, um, weeks, days, weeks, or months, of that. Anyway, that's personal, but that's definitely important if it's happening to you. Um, when that energy is disturbed, that's you know, we during eclipse times, people, would do certain things. You stay hydrated. People stayed indoors more. You prayed. You went internally. It was because people knew it was a time of disturbed energy that was occurring, and it's still occurring. So we get these um, push pulls, these turn on, turn off, these power surges. And I don't mean through the grid, I mean in our personal self. We get these, is energy that you could get a bunch of an abundance of energy if it's a positive one, or it could be really draining at the same time, or contrary to some people. According to Judith Hill, North Node eclipses, a fortunate North Node eclipse is strengthening, lucky. It's contacts, enter life, new opportunities, energizing, exciting, stimulating, attention be attention bringing, bright, boosting, increase, or fortune. And then when it gets too much, a challenging North Node would be impactions, because you're getting too much, right? Invasion, excess, overwhelming, aggressive, swelling, hyperactive, flooded with something toxic, greedy, destructive, breaking, swelling. Mhm. So we would look at those things, this eclipse, because we have a north node eclipse. I'm going to read south node anyway, because we'll have the moon at the south node next time. Okay. South node eclipses. That is like the tide is going out, where the north node, a tide is coming in. So now the south node, it would be tides going out, forms and energy exits. Fortunate south node eclipses would be you consciously releasing or relaxing, escaping. You could be spiritualizing. You can get more psychic impressions. You're more giving. You're letting go in a good way, cleansing, resting. You might have strange luck, something out of the blue. You could have welcome returns from the past, second chances, paying off debts, spiritual awakening, accepting that all things pass. You can have charity or relief, rest, vacation from work, soul connections, sensitizing, looking inward, psychological understanding, spiritual awakening, sacrificing, inner awakening, and spiritual liberation. That sounds pretty good, actually. You don't fear the South Node. Challenging South Node eclipse, on the other hand, are weakening or draining, depressive. It could be things could be exiting your life. It could be unfortunate, could be losing control or relapsing, could be unconsciousness, powerlessness, loss of outer power, sorrow. You could be withdrawn or fearful, paranoid, hopeless, negative, leaking of energy, or some kind of a loss happens, or something is eclipsed from your life. Or let's see what else I want to tell you about. Eclipses may intensify any current matters in your life pertaining to any of the listed items in each area. Like if it's, if you're an Aries rising and this is an Aries solar eclipse, that's going to energize your first house for sure, right? Well, I'll go over that in just a minute, but you can see that. So power outages or surges might occur in one or more of the areas within 3 to 6 months, if not immediately. And oh, I know what I was going to tell you. It was also, if it's a exact eclipse, a full eclipse, a versus a partial eclipse, it's definitely more powerful. And but partial or annular or the prenumbral eclipses, I know, don't degrade them. And then even though you may not have something pertinent, they're still powerful. Don't underestimate it. But if you have that eclipse point on a personal planet, it's definitely going to be a year to remember. Okay, so its effects can be either positive or negative depending on the nodal polarity and plus the details of your own personal planets. And I like to give something 3 degrees, more or less, 2 to 3 degrees. But if something is past, it's different than if it's applying. If it's coming up to something, it's going to definitely, I think, be more hit you harder or be more of a problem rather than if it's after, like anything that's past the degree is, it's like when sex is over or you're finished eating, you're not hungry anymore, you don't want it anymore. So it's different if it's after. All right, so with this one, we said it was going to be an Aries eclipse. And you remember solar eclipse in Aries are very dynamic, they're very strong, they're very fast in effect. Energy rises and dissipates suddenly. So things that are going on now are going to come up and then maybe they'll go away. Power surges and or power outages occurred. And then again, I'm not meaning the grid. I'm meaning within you and within your life. All matters related to energy, because this is Aries, speed, temper, passion, military action, and fire. Aries waves are hot and stimulating. Think of hot pepper again, remember? This sign inspires action, discovery, aggressive impulse, and war. Uh-oh. Leaders may rise to power or fall. This eclipse can herald impulse and war. We already said that. It can also lead into great discoveries and exploration, science and medicine. Leaders, athletes, and new talent, idols may suddenly rise or fall. This is a stimulating time for anybody that's in sports or any kind of physical activity. It's also very feisty. All right. So what else? Make sure that you deal with water, with fire things. You don't push the envelope. Everybody's got water. You don't have frayed wires. Loose firearms. Um, you might, make sure, just as a word of caution, anything like that, that's prone to fire or explosion or anything like that is taken care of. And then, we also have Aries. This is Aries, so we have to think about hemorrhaging. Aries also rules the head, eyes, ears. So people could, that have any, not just Aries, but you could have any of the cardinal sign emphasis. I think this one is, well, we said at 29 degrees. So any cardinal sign, at that 28, 29, 27, 28, 29 degrees can be affected. Could be, blood, heart, again, eyes, brain, um, again, migraines, eye pressure, headaches, high blood pressure, adrenals, adrenal gland activities, testosterone, um, anything that might, push yourself over that edge. So hemorrhaging, accidents, it's not a good time to do electional surgeries. I definitely would not want to do that. Avoiding heat exhaustion, making sure that you're cooled down, that you're hydrated. What else? But also look at, the Libras and Capricorns, also need to look at this, and Cancers, because they're going to be affected as well, especially late degrees, if you have anything late degrees. So if you were an Aries rising, or maybe some degree of an Aries sun, but I'm going to read more for the rising. I mean, it is somewhat for the sun, but they, if see, here's the thing that bugs me. You have to sometimes know your rising sign to get accurate information on things, because the eclipse will be in a certain house. Even though it's like it may affect your sun, it will be in a certain house. Like I'm an Aries sun, so I could read a little bit about that, Aries, eclipse, but because I'm a Leo rising, this eclipse will be in my ninth house. It will be in my ninth house because I have Leo rising. If you have Aries rising, the sun is in Aries, it, will more or less be in your first house. I'm gonna say more or less because of the, if you're not rising 0 degrees, it'll probably might be in your second house. Anyway, I'm gonna read it through the houses, or give you some keywords of the eclipse happening through the houses. So if the eclipse is in your first house, then it's definitely going to, turn up that volume of all first house type things. You might have to lead, fight, pioneer, start a new adventure. It could be strong on your body. You might have an increase in energy. You might have, more courage, more energy. You could have less tact. um, you might be more direct. You might speed or drink or party more because you don't have that reserve. It can also affect your head, your hair, your muscles, your eyes. So that's definitely something to watch if the sun is, if this eclipse coming up, this first one in Aries, 29 degrees, is occurring in your first house. If it's occurring in your second house, you're probably a Taurus rising, but there again, it's close. It could be, I'm not going to hit it on because it, I'm not talking about whole sign here. I'm talking about just exactly where it is in your natal chart. So if you're Taurus, if it's in your, I should put this way, if it's, an Aries eclipse in the second house, I'm trying to iron it that way. So we have this Aries energy in the second house of oh, all of your your security, your stable base, You could have things, creative flashes. Um, it could make you want to settle down more. It could make you want to get a little bit more inspired about your money, the things that you value. Um, it could have, I'm thinking about it kind of, it's like an opposite effect as well, but I'll get there. It's just coming into my head to tell you. So you could be more focused on, spiritual work, psychology, psychological work, um, your inner resolve, your inner security could get really fired up, wanting to um, bring more energy into making things more secure, making things more homey, making your body more uh, solid. There we go. That's the word I'm thinking for. So also, sometimes we have to look at the opposite effect. I mean, I just want to bring this in. You have to look at kind of where the opposite side is, because that's what's being, taken away or lacking. So we want to just pay attention to that polarity. I wanted to say it before I forgot. So I'm emphasizing where it is in your chart, but we also want to kind of note where the opposite side is going to be maybe lacking. All right. So if it's in your third house, if you are maybe Gemini rising, you might have more um, energy in the area of groups or ideas or the way you communicate, friends, groups, the aunts and uncles. That could also be, because that's like third house. It could be important mentors may enter or exit your life. Dreams could come true, what you've thought about, what you've put energy and attention on. The public mind could be a little bit more stimulated. People around you can get more intense. You may have more social or um, neighbor or trivial type things, more facts, more books, more stuff like that. Or it may be, a lot of that just may, again, go away. A lot of that just, you might have a break from that if there's a lot. Because again, it could be the power surge, power outage. You don't quite know. I say you would probably have the surge maybe more if something is, in a effect maybe to your Mars or to your sun. All right, so cancers, if it's in like the fourth house, such as Cancer rising, if it's in the eclipse is in your fourth house, then your areas of your home might be highlighted. New beginnings or endings might happen in the area of your career, boss, parents, home, because you have things opposite now. Sometimes you might be working under a new boss, or an old one will leave. Maybe you'll start a new job or find a change in your home environment, because home, we got like fourth, 10th house kind of a thing. A new career ending. Again, real estate gets highlighted, property concerns. That's about all I can think of at the top of my mouth. Leos. So this is the first fire one other than Aries. It would be in harmonious. It would be a trining that. So this would be in the fifth house. So anything to do with your creations, the things that you're creating, that you're doing, that you're um, what am I thinking about? Um, Aries eclipse for the Leos. Um, it's you've got the cultural things. You've got the that interest in the higher mind, in travel or religion or churches, or because it's ninth house, you're the type of reaching out, that type of outward expansive interaction, um, growing into new areas, new expansion. I guess that's the way I want to think about it. Um, Things that maybe your children, your creations, like if you have artwork, your all of your things that we're doing. So it's kind of like that. The Leo part of that is the fifth house activities. Aries eclipse for Virgos, so that would emphasize if you've got a Virgo rising, it's going to be in your sixth house. So it would be anything to do with your daily affairs, everything that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, your work habits, what you're doing as far as your organizing, your um, health habits, bringing all that to the fore. You may all of a sudden, kick the health habits out the door or adopt new ones. Anything that may be um, transforming how you work on a daily basis. Um, Things that don't work might go away, and then you might adopt new ideas with how to organize, how to strategize. Yeah. Aries eclipse for Libra rising, you're going to have that others to contend with. It could be competitors, it could be live-in people, could be legal problems. You've got that seventh house type stuff to deal with. Could be a second child, could be contracts, partners, could be anything that you might be counseling or getting counseling, either way. uh, Anybody that forced you to make decisions that maybe you have to get over, or finally make a decision on something. Aries is going to force that from that Libra being indecisive, so that could really put decisions up to the foreground. Partners may come and go because that's what's being eclipsed. All right, Aries eclipse for Scorpio rising. So if it's a Scorpio type area, then you've got, waste, putrefaction, health or healing. You could have anything to do with other people's money, secret relationships, co-workers, hidden matters, anything hidden, partial payments, partial finances, anything related to like employees, chemicals, excretory or sex, the sex or sex systems, um, the male or female parts of the body, or sexual issues. Could be parasites, vermin, um, chemicals, poisoning, things like that may come up or be um, having to deal with, having to what's the word I want to sort out, or it just some of those issues might just go away. If you've been plagued with problems in some of those areas, that just these eclipses might just eclipse them away. Now might be time for some of that stuff, especially things that are excretory. Have to go. It's time shit or get off the pot on that one. All right, Aries eclipses for Sag rising. um well, it's definitely going to put that over into that ninth house area, um, where the Aries part is. So what we've got is, well, I'm kind of focusing on the health aspects of it at first. I'm feeling like the legs, activity of the legs, anything that you're movement orientated, sciatica, also vacations, sports, and I mean again anything like hiking, hips and thighs, um, animals like horses, dogs, things that are like galloping, movement oriented. Did I say the sciatic? I meant to say like the sciatic or sciatic nerve may act up in that area. Also, things that are definitely, how would I say, requiring big spurts of energy, things that require lots of I mean that area. How do I want to say it? It's a power area of the body, the legs, the hips, the thighs. So it kind of relates. I mean, that's on the physical. So back when, if we're coming into the more spiritual side, it's where you surge forward. You're just going to make up your mind. Yep, I'm moving in that direction. So on one level, it's like the physical legs moving you, but on another level, it's you just moving yourself into different areas. That impulsive or that burst or that speed or that magnetism, that power, that pride. that just burst of forward into it, because that Sagittarian area is definitely frank, open, and honest. And if it gets that Aries energy, it's like kind of that Leo energy. It's also the similar at that elemental resonance. It's going to get that big positive polarity. So that big surge, it upwelling, that sort of athletic power, physically and spiritually, I would say. Um, that burst forward. On the negative side, watch for stupid mistakes, kind of that are impulsive. Same with Leo. You might, that might be putting, too much creation out there. Or it's going to go away, or it might be like, nope, we're not going to let you do that right now. All right, Aries eclipse for Capricorn rising. So this one, we have more that 10th house emphasis. So we've got property, but then we can, property and home, but then it's going to counter, being like the office and parents and architecture and land. We got all those issues back and forth. But it's a little bit more emphasis like on building, contracting, ownership, um, power, other things like storage, refrigeration, savings, real estate. We talked about farms, livestock, could be timber, anything to do with that, fencing, ancestors. Some of that can definitely be coming up as dealing with ancestral things, or estates. That's all of that area that could be getting a burst of ambition, um, ambitious development in land or property, or in the business side of things. It can flip flop either way. So there could be a tendency to move or buy or build. It could be, um, you got to be careful to, the negative side of it is to not think through the enterprises, because Aries is so impulsive. It may make decisions, business decisions, too quick, too fast, too impetuous. I guess that's that word I'd be looking under. All right. Aries eclipses for Aquarius rising, or putting in that 11th house area. So those are sextile by nature. So they would tend to get along. So anything related to the populace, people, communications, electronics, the short journeys, creative thinking, maybe smaller vehicles, siblings, personal education, self-development, and the mind. Those can all be worked out. So if it's negative, it could be like fuzzy thinking, maybe ambiguity in the groups. Maybe the group mind is maybe more driven, less cautious. Um, or on the other side, it could be more drained and fatigued. This is where we'd have to watch people's, with um, having that aggressive ideas, aggressive people, aggressive speech, aggressive things happening in groups, mob mentality, um, things that could be eclipsed as maybe some of that over idealism, that Aries aggressiveness in that idealistic Aquarius. I think I said that right. All right, and then last but not least, Pisces, Pisces rising, will be bringing back up to the 12th house issues, personal, inner, uh, you know, inner spiritual growth, inner projects, endings, institutions, large institutions, large things, corporations, your inner self, your inner growth, your inner beings can all be, hit with an influx. Anything that could be behind the scenes, um, subterfuge, secret enemies, things hidden from view. Things could all of a sudden um, reveal themselves, or all of a sudden is a big mystery. What happened? It's like, I don't know. It's all of a sudden got nebulous there, because we have the Aries energy in the nebulous house, in that area. It's like, who did it? I don't know. Not me. Um, It could also shed the light on, things behind the scenes, things that are in the institution, things that are behind the scenes, pulling the curtain back, Toto pulling that curtain back, type of things in with Pisces rising. All right, I think I got through those. What else do I want to share with you? Remember to check to see also if the eclipse degree is at the same degree of your prenatal eclipse. And what else? Is that all I had? Yeah, I think those were all the things I had on eclipses. All right, so we got that coming up. I think we'll move on. We might, once we hit that in a couple weeks, we'll go over it again and look at that. But for now, you've got plenty of homework here to look at. Just to remind you to look at where the eclipses are. Go see what house. Maybe review this to see how it will affect you. And again, whatever that house, wherever it's in, think about that. It could be either souped up or eclipsed out of sight for a while. All right. Talk to you all next week. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.